Good morning, everybody. This is Lindy. So today is an exciting day. Today I'm going to introduce you to my son, Jason. And Jason is a retired law enforcement officer who's on his second job and not traveling with me, but, doing his thing. So I'm going to have a conversation with Jason. It's not really going to be an interview. I want him to talk about safety issues, things that he thinks about, and he's never lived in a van. So the first thing I'm going to ask him, and I warned him I was going to do it, is what he thought when I was talking about moving into a van, and what are his thoughts and what are his thought processes right now. So let me introduce you to Jason. So Jason, this is my son, everybody, and we're at his house. So he's got a little clutter, but it's okay. Yeah, you do. It's behind you. We should have put a drape or something up. Whatever. So Jason, you know what the question's going to be, and everybody's expecting you to be honest now. Mm-hmm. What did you think when I was talking? Well, I lived in a van in the KFC parking lot, and then I got that cottage, and then I started talking to you about moving into the van. So what were your thoughts about that at the time?
So as you guys know, today is actually my first day of being retired as a deputy sheriff with San Francisco Sheriff's Department. So initially when she brought that up to me, I was terrified. I was like, oh my gosh. Just thinking of all the bad things that I've seen in my career. But she doesn't stay in San Francisco, so we'll put that out to you. And I don't live in San Francisco, but that's where I worked. So it took her a couple of months, and I finally told her, I'm not really comfortable with this. And I thought to myself, this is what she wants to do. She's not in a terribly bad, I want to say, location in California, put it that way. And so I told her, if this what makes you happy, then do what makes you happy. So you got to kind of let that go and let it go with it. And that was almost 2 years ago, Mom.
Yeah, but but if I remember, I remember it a little differently. Mm-hmm. You really didn't like it.
I did not. No, absolutely.
And you lost 2 friends in one day.
Yeah, I've lost.
One was 37 from an epileptic fit.
Yeah.
And the other one was 51 or 52.
Yeah.
Within 2 hours of each other.
They were the same day, both co-workers, and so it wasn't.
And that was when you called me and said, "Mom, it's okay." That's when you really gave me the okay. Not that you were holding me back, but I respected your opinion, and I wanted you to be able to be comfortable with me moving into a van.
Not that I could even control you anyways. Not that I would want to, but I've seen some of the comments of your viewers when you put all that out, and I was like, "Mom, what are they saying?" They're like, "Why is your son letting?" I'm like, "I can't control my mom." So, but
Well, you said to me they ought to have you for a mom 1 week.
They should, and they'll know. You can't control her. Hello. But it was definitely a time when a couple of my coworkers passed away, and I thought to myself, we only have one life to live, and if that what makes my mom happy, then not that I could say you couldn't do it, but I should support it. So
yeah.
And I told you that. So
yeah. Okay, so now that we've got that all out there, I know that people are always curious about people's family members. What do they think? And you're my son, and you've helped me a lot since I've been on the van life. I wanted to talk to you about safety. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say you're an expert on it, but you know more than the average person. And when you're looking at a van life, which you will never do, let's face it, you're not interested in van life, but you do like to travel. But when you look at van life, can you go over some of the things, and I know you've written some things down, can you go over some of the things that you came up with as far as van life goes and security and safety issues?
Yeah, of course. So I will say this, anything that I say mind you, was today's first day a peace officer in the state of California. And as we all know, all the states have different laws and regulations. So I don't want to give you any particular specific advice on the laws of your state, but I'll say some of the common sense stuff that I thought about when my mom asked me this, that I would think about if I was living in a van and with my experience. So you take it and go with it. And some of this may be common sense and some of it you may already know. Just being in the van life and just common sense. So I'm going to put my glasses on because, yeah, I have to, unfortunately. So, you know... So something big, just not big, but just different things that you might have thought about is make sure where you're staying at has cell phone service, right? We all drive around and just do our thing, and depending on your carrier, you may not have cell service where you're staying at. So make sure you have cell service. It's a simple thing. And another thing that I spoke to my mom about was, and we all don't think about it, is so when you call 911 on your cell phone, it doesn't go to your local, like let's say you're staying in a specific city, and when you call 911 on your cell phone, that's not a landline, so it goes to a like for instance in the state of California, it's going to go to California Highway Patrol, and they're going to look at they're gonna take your call and figure out where you're at based on what you're telling them. So, and they're gonna send it to whatever police department or county sheriffs that you're at. So, just know where you're at, and there's local numbers that you can call. So, let's say you're at whatever city in Texas. Go Google their police call service center and get a direct line to them. Because that might save you a couple of minutes, right? So
Yeah, but what you're saying is you also need to know your location, your street
yeah,
address,
right? So
or whatever.
Number one, you need to know where you're at. Let's say you park somewhere. What street are you on? When you call 911, they're going to ask you, what street are you on? What's your address? So know that, right? And we all don't like necessarily think about that because if you're living in a house, you know your address, right? But when you're in a van and you're driving around and you're staying in places, you may not know the address. You just say, hey, I'm by this Popeye's Chicken in Vallejo or whatever city you're in. So just know the street address and what city you're in, right? So and here's another simple one: make sure your cell phone's charged, right? You know, you park and you call it a night. Make sure your cell phone's charged, right? These are things that we may not think about and we may not like, but make sure it's done, right? And here's another one that may not be the most popular to everybody because we all know about Google, but in Google there's a share your location. You can share your location with friends, families, or whoever you want to, and share your location so they know where you're at. So
What's it called again, Jason?
It's a Google like Google Maps. You can go in there, and if you go in there, it'll say share your location. It'll give you a precise location and you can share it to whoever you want to. It's not like a general, let me share it with the whole world.
Right,
but like you
family
as my mom, you could share your location to me, and I would know exactly where you're at. It may not be the most popular thing with everybody, but for safety, you can do things like that. Like, hey, I'm staying here. Here's my location. If anything happens, right? There it is. I mean, these are things that like you don't have to do. It's just an option. It's a safety concern. Obviously, make sure where you're parking at. That would just be me personally. Is make sure it's well lit, right? Make sure it's well lit where you're at, because usually the how do I want to put it? I'm not going to say criminals, but the people that want to do bad things, they don't like the location to be lit, right? They want to do it in
the
dark, incognito, or nobody can see them. So if you're in a well lit place, not to say you're 100% safe, but you're going to be less likely to have those people, want to do bad things to you or your van or you.
Mm-hmm.
So Also, there's 24-hour establishments like Safeways or Walmarts, or where their parking lots, they're a 24-hour establishment 365 days a year. So you got a lot of people coming in and out. That might be another option for you, to stay in a place like that where
For parking.
for parking, yeah. So
And also for cell service, because they always have internet.
yes, for cell service, internet. So someplace that's 24 hours a day, that might be an option for you. These are just all options. It's not where you should stay and where it's just options for you. For me, I'm just bringing on a safety concern. So and to be honest, I haven't lived in a van, so I'm just telling you my thoughts and talking to my mom with the last couple of years and some things that I've thought about. So, and then there's also, if you're in a more permanent place, other van lifers, and which my mom told me today, a lot of other van lifers just want to be incognito, and that's fine too, but
They call it stealth, Jason.
stealth.
Stealth.
Okay,
None of them are stealth. They
Right.
think they are. But,
You know,
but everybody knows.
stealth, So be stealth or not stealth, but it's all about safety. So that's what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
whether you're stealth or not, you're going to know who's a van lifer,
Yep.
I would assume.
Yep.
And maybe, not that you have to make friends with them, but acquaintances. And then, like, they know you're there and you know they're there. Just something, like, to keep in mind. And then, so there's motion sensors, right? Motion sensors for lighting. That's a whole nother realm. But
You got me some that were little bitty ones. How
I got her
much
some
did they
little bitty
cost?
ones. They were on the internet at $10 or $15 a pop. It's something that I got them from my mom for the inside of the van, but it's a motion. So like if she walks into the van, it turns on. But it would work the same way as if you put it on the outside. If somebody walked up, it would turn on. So usually people that want to do bad things, when a light turns on, this is just from my personal experience, they go like, oh, and they go away, right? Because you can have you'd have cameras on your van. So for instance, like your backup cameras, which will do a whole wide area, you could turn that on from your stereo and look to see. And there's also apps that you can look to see what's going on in the back. It doesn't say you can put that on the front of your van or the side of your van, right?
You're talking about cameras on the van, outside the van.
Exactly. Cameras on the outside of the van.
And when we do our live, we're going to research those cameras
Sure.
and see if we can give
Mhm.
my subscribers suggestions on what types to buy.
Absolutely. I can look into that. I know they're out there. There are options in it. Not everybody can afford it. It's just an option, and just to throw it out there. They're not super expensive, but it's an option, right? But you can always put lighting out there, and it lights up the whole area.
Yeah.
And what was I talking about? So yeah, motion sensor lighting. So there's also options out there for your solar ones, right? Just you can put that on there, and again, these bad individuals. I don't want to say when the light comes on, they're like, okay, let me go on to the next one. So it could be simply a lighting situation where it comes on when they walk up. They don't know if you're looking, or if that light and that motion detected to them that, or the person like, oh, now they're watching me. They don't know that. They just see the light come on, like, okay, I'm out.
Right.
So it's a all right. So that's it on the motion. I mean, there's plenty of options out there. So let's look at our something that people don't think about. It is if you're in an emergency, right? Know where your keys are at, right? You have them in a specific place. Something happens, you got to get out, right? You jump in your seat and you take off, right? But here's something that people don't think about. What if there's only one exit path? Try to think about staying in a place where you have multiple exit paths, right? So if I go and boom, and think about where you're going, right? I'm just taking off. No.
Escape routes.
Escape routes, right?
Yeah.
Exit path, exigent circumstances. But don't limit yourself to like one in and out exit. an entry, right? Because
Right.
that limits you. So have multiple exits. So when you get in your vehicle and you take off from this situation that you're not comfortable with, right? Um, Take off. So just know your surroundings. So I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully, people will have more questions for our live that I could be more specific with. And just keep in mind, I was a peace officer in the state of California, so every state has their own laws. Uh, so I can't I can't answer questions for specific laws in different states. I can give you letter of the law, spirit of the law kind of scenarios, but I don't want to give you advice on specific laws in different states, right? So
Right. Yeah.
just keep that in mind, just general stuff. I don't want to talk about carrying guns and carrying knives because every state has their own laws. So, and when it comes to that, that's your choice, and just know your laws of your state and county and city. So, but we're gonna take questions on the live, and hopefully I can answer those for you guys, and help it make it safe for you guys. So, I don't know if you have anything else, Mom.
No, but I really want to thank you, son,
Sure.
for taking the time and talking to everybody and
Sure.
trying to help, because some of these things I don't think about. I just automatically do. I automatically
Right.
put my keys in the same
Right.
place, every night.
Right.
I automatically know where my exit is. Now, I never know where I'm going, okay?
Right.
But I know where my exit is
Right.
and how I can get out.
But you're getting out of that situation.
I'm getting
which
out
is-
of that situation.
Right, and people don't think about that. Like, in an emergency situation, where are my keys?
Yeah.
Right? If they're in the same place, you know where they're at,
Yeah.
and you grab them, and
Yeah.
you get in your seat, and you turn the car on, and you go.
Oh, and this is the other thing, and I know you're not going to like this at all.
Mhm.
I know you're not.
Right.
I don't care if they're in the front of my van. I'm running over them because I'm getting out away from them. Period. End of discussion. I don't care what's in front of me. If it's a car, I'm ramming it and I'm getting out.
Right. Well, I'll you do what you do. You do you, and this is what I will say. But your life is worth what you want your life to be worth,
Right.
and you get out of that situation.
I get out no matter.
And you explain it down the road. This is what I thought. This is
Yeah.
what was in my mind at the time. I feared for my life,
Right.
and I got out of the situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just feel that's what I'll do. No matter what, I'll do. I did it once. I went after a guy with the car because he tried to
Right.
break in my window and crash it in.
Right.
So I chased him with my car. I didn't catch him, but I chased him.
But you can articulate that and tell anybody that comes to take your side of the story, and just tell them. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I do want to thank my son for helping us out today and doing this with me. So I know he was a little nervous. I think he was. So was I when I first started. But I did want to ask you to send the questions in advance in the comments. If you have questions, I would like them in the comments so I can write them down and give them to my son so he's prepared for the live. So I'll have your name of who asked the question and what the question is, and he will give an answer in the live if he can. It may be something he can't talk about. I mean, I really don't know, I'm just an ordinary person. But the one thing he didn't discuss with us is, and I really wanted him to, was the spirit of the law and the rule of the law. And I had never heard that before. And so on the live, I'm going to ask him to tell us the spirit of the law and the rule of the law. I think it's really important that you guys understand that. I've never heard of it, and I don't think you have either. I'm going to end this video because it's pretty long, and I appreciate you watching and subscribing, and thanks for watching us. And I'll see you next time. Camo.